Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Thursday. I hope you are doing well. We are making our way through the Christmas story in Matthew. We're going to be in Matthew chapter 2 today. So as always, I'm glad you can join in. If that's an hour later, I hope this is an encouragement to you. And let's dive right in and pick up on the story of the Magi, King Herod. This will occupy us today, tomorrow, some of the next week, and we'll wrap it up right before Christmas. All right, Matthew 2, and I apologize. Today, I'm not going to be able to put the scriptures on, having a little issue that I hope to resolve by tomorrow. After listening to the king, they went on their way, and behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. Okay, there's a lot there. Spent most of the time talking about Herod yesterday. It doesn't appear to me that the Magi know that Herod is a scoundrel. They'll find that out in time. But right now, they go to Herod because naturally they're expecting, hey, there's big news in your region. This child has been born. And of course, Herod does the whole charade we talked about yesterday. But who are these Magi? That's the real question. These wise men. And a couple of things. It never says they rode on camels. It never says there were three. Probably the three came out of, it's not hard to figure out, right? That there were three gifts that are mentioned, which I'll get to in just a moment. So there were at least two, and there may have been some estimated, there was an entourage, scores and scores of them that may have come with servants, attendants, etc. But all they're interested in is in finding the child. The question is, who are these people? They're not Jewish, they're Gentiles, which is staggering. That one of the things I think Matthew wants us to see is that Jesus' own nation, his own people, had little to no interest in exploring this. But these Gentiles from far off wanted to. I think there's a little picture of God's heart for the world, even in something as simple as the Christmas story. Fascinating to me who these Magi are. Let me read you a passage from the Old Testament book of Daniel. This is, again, it's not coming up today, so it's Daniel 5:11. And this is what Belshazzar is told. Now, his father Nebuchadnezzar was king in Babylon. This is his son who's read a pretty disturbing message that's been handwritten on a wall and wants to know what it means. And he's panicked because he needs an interpreter. Listen to how Daniel is introduced here. There's a man in your kingdom who has the spirit of the holy gods in him. Now, keep in mind, they weren't believers in Yahweh, so they understand him as a religious man in their terms. In the time of your father, meaning Nebuchadnezzar, he was found to have insight and intelligence and wisdom like that of the gods. Your father, King Nebuchadnezzar, appointed him chief of the, are you ready for this? Magicians, enchanters, astrologers, and diviners. So centuries earlier, this Jewish man was found to have special gifting. And Nebuchadnezzar appointed him to chair his wise advisors. Now, yes, they were into astrology, enchantment, magic, etc. Not that Daniel was, but Daniel was given a special place to lead the king's advisors, as it were. The best thing I can determine is that Daniel's influence over this group of stargazers lasted for centuries. And that even down to the time of Jesus, there was a group of searchers and scholars that were studying the sky, etc., because it appears to me that Daniel had prepared them, probably based on a revelation from God, for a time when the Messiah was going to be born. I just think that's fascinating. That's my best guess. And it's not mine. Many Bible interpreters feel that is probably what happened. One more detail there. In the Greek translation of the Old Testament called the Septuagint, when it translates who this group of kingly advisors were, can you guess what word they use? Magi. Again, just interesting that Daniel, for centuries, his influence had lasted. So here you've got the Magi that know, hey, now's the time, and they travel all the way to Israel. Quick comment about the star. I saw my friend Emily asked this yesterday on Facebook, or made a comment that a lot of people were talking about the Star of Bethlehem. It's always intrigued me. I tend to think, and I could be wrong, I just submit it to you, that it's not a star. That they describe it as a star because it is a light that appears in the sky. But have you honestly tried to use a star to pinpoint you to an exact location? That's pretty hard to do. It can generally lead you in a direction. But where have we seen God's people being guided by something like this? You go back to the story of Exodus and the people of Israel, and they are led by a pillar of cloud by day and a what? Fire by night. I think this is something more supernatural, and it may even be an angel that they see. Certainly angels are all over the Christmas story. Okay, let me get to the last point. Matthew 2:10 and 11. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they fell down and worshiped him. Then, opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Quick thing there. Do you notice it says when it took them to the house, not the manger, because this is after Jesus was born. Some people suggest this may even be in Nazareth, where Jesus grew up. And it doesn't say. Or it may be that they had temporary arrangements in Bethlehem while things were going down with King Herod. I'll get to that a little more tomorrow. But these gifts, gold, we sort of understand it's a precious metal, still valuable today. Frankincense is interesting because it was used in the worship like incense to gods. But I want to talk finally about myrrh. That's a strange gift for a baby, isn't it? There's only two other references in the Gospels to myrrh. Both of them are linked to Jesus' death. Do you remember when he was dying, they offered him wine mixed with myrrh that was kind of an ancient form of a narcotic to dull the pain. Of course, Jesus refused it, but it was offered to him, associated with death. And one of the spices the women came to anoint Jesus' body with was what? Myrrh. It's a strange gift for a baby, unless that baby was born to die for us. Magi is fascinating. I've really just scratched the surface, but I hope this Christmas we will remember that even in this hint of the gifts, we see Jesus came to fulfill his mission. Let me pray. Thank you, Father. Thank you for this beautiful story. Thank you that Jesus can still be found because we know why he came, to save us. In his name.